It follows from this concept of the idea that the valuation increases with the introduction of leverage, that people can fall into the trap of thinking that there is an optimized capital structure. For example, in the diagram that you can see on the screen, when the leverage produces the lowest cost of capital before the perception point causes it to lurch upwards, this produces the highest valuation. The lowest discount rate, the highest valuation. And therefore we can identify a point, X marked on the diagram, where you get maximum valuation. And so there's a temptation to leverage to this maximum point. In my view, this would be a tremendous mistake, simply because that fails to take into account the dynamics of the tolerance for leverage during the favorable economic conditions, because, as I said previously, financial institutions are pro-cyclical. There is an enormous tolerance for leverage. During the good times, dinosaur dynamics, highly levered and entrepreneurially managed, are very popular. These are the companies that are doing all of the new transactions. But with the onset of weak economic conditions, there is a rapid move away from the companies that are highly leveraged, that have very volatile cash flows, dinosaur dynamics as I call them, and companies that are entrepreneurially managed. God forbid if you're all three of those things, because you will not see financial markets, both equity and debt markets, fall dust as they put as much distance between themselves and your company. And therefore, just as I was preaching earlier in the seminar about adopting a counter-cyclical mentality, so I am preaching it again. There is one fool you never take advantage of, and that is a banker, when they offer you funding that they ought not to be offering in the favorable economic conditions. Your first duty is to survive, of course. As the tolerance for leverage reduces, then point X is no longer the optimal capital structure. It is moved further to the west. And how on earth will your company then reduce its leverage when in fact you're drawing down your liquidity safety net and heading in the opposite direction? There is a common misconception that capital structure is all about debt and equity. A lot of people go around talking about 80-20, 70-30, 75-25, meaning the proportion of debt to equity. In my view, this is a mistaken approach. Capital structure has three dimensions: debt, equity, and liquidity. And the most important of these is liquidity. With the appropriate amounts of liquidity, and that comes from the volatility modeling that we talked about earlier in the seminar, your defensive structure is secure, and you can be ruthlessly aggressive in the pursuit then of your business strategy, knowing that you have a firm defensive foundation.